This is WEBurlesque.
Hi there, this is Mr. Valdez.
This is Mix Pucks Plenty.
Hello, my name is Coco Rose.
Hello, this is Remy D.
Hi, this is Pearl Buttons, and you're listening to WEBurlesque Season 10.
This is WEBurlesque, the podcast, and I'm your host, Viktor Devon. And through the miracle of fiber optics, I get to talk to nightlife individuals in the field of burlesque, drag, and cabaret. And today is no exception. I have Yzma Mind on the line. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm dialing into Vegas proper, or are you somewhere else in Nevada?
Oh, I am in Las Vegas. Well, Centennial, but
Okay.
on zip code says Las Vegas. So
That you mean, no,
I'm
we let's not
wait.
quibble. Have you always been in that area?
No, so I actually moved out here about 5 years ago from Houston, Texas. Well, College Station, originally from Houston. And yeah, and a lot of people don't know where College Station is. So I say Houston just to make it easier.
Sure. What necessitated the move? Did you just want to be a star?
Honestly, like I just always loved Las Vegas. And when my husband graduated grad school, he was like, "Where do you want to go?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm just applying for jobs for you wherever I want to be." And so we just landed in Las Vegas, and there we go.
Yeah. When did you find that you were a performer?
So I started performing at the age of 3. I was a pageant kid growing up, and
Oh
then
my
we did
goodness.
Then we did modeling for Neiman Marcus for a while. And when my mother was the marketing coordinator for Colgate Palmolive, and so she took me to different events, and I met Gloria the Clown. And under her, I started entertaining kids at like 3rd grade. So I was like 9 years old, and I did that till senior year of high school with her.
What was your medium of choice? Were you clowning?
Yeah, I was clowning with her. So she
Oh.
was, my mom was just like, my daughter wants to be a performer because I really like the acting part of it. So I
Uh-huh.
was always in plays and different things. And then Gloria kind of took me under her wing, kind of babysitting me, but also like teaching me as we went on and doing these different marketing events for Fiesta. And Fiesta is a big grocery store conglomerate of grocery supply. And we would do these big, conventions over in Houston. And so we would be entertaining like 200 people to 800 people at a time.
Hmm. So Gloria was a long-standing clown.
Yes, she's Rainbow
What
the Clown in Houston.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was a long-standing clown. She's still clowning right now.
Yeah. I feel like it's something you commit to. It's sort of it's in the blood, right?
Yes.
So now this particular art form, can you break down what clowning means for those who may not think of it in any outside of like, the TV shows or, the scary clown element, what clowning really means to you?
Well, I mean, and I'm not going to I can't get all technical with it because I mean, because I haven't learned like other than the stuff that Gloria taught me and the stuff that Brawling Beauty has kind of gotten me into. I
Hmm.
don't necessarily know the technicalities, but to me, it's stepping outside of yourself of entertaining somebody else. Like
Mm.
Gloria. Gloria was what we call, and this is going to sound, she was doing clowning for her religious reasons, and her and I shared the same spiritual sentiment. And the way that she put it was we wouldn't go over scripture. We wouldn't talk about what we believe it, showing love and showing entertainment to the audience and bringing that kind of joy to them. And that's what spreads the message more than anything else. So clowning to me has always just been a way of not only just stepping outside of myself, but bringing other people to joy and happiness.
Mm. Now you mentioned some spirituality there. Did you grow up in a church
Yes.
specifically?
So I'm a practicing Catholic,
Okay.
and that's a really big part of who I am and what I believe. Not like just as far as love and individuality, Catholicism as a religion itself just gives me some spiritual grounding rather
Mm,
than the whole commitment of everything I believe, if that makes sense. It
mhm.
gives me the ritual rather than the practice. But as far as like the message that I believe in Christ, like that's what I like to spread. And like my whole thing is, I believe that I was given talents to be able to like be outspoken and have fun. And
Mhm.
how can I use that best to explain how I feel?
How do you find that you counteract? So I grew up. I hear a
Sorry.
dog.
Okay. Sorry.
It's okay. Dog in the before we move on, we must acknowledge the dog in the room. What is the name of the dog?
Oh, that is Arlo. He is Husky, Chow, and Australian Shepherd.
Oh my goodness.
He's my big boy.
Big big boy indeed. So I grew up very progressive Christian, and I have a lot of but I also went to Catholic school, and as a non-practicing Catholic who goes to Catholic school, especially in the 90s into the early 2000s, it was a very specific time to sort of, I don't know, it felt solid in a lot of the ritual, but a lot of the dogma and a lot of the Christ-like attributes that I was promised that I would find in others were sometimes lacking. How do you contend with people who weaponize, particularly Catholicism, particularly Christianity, to hurt people when you're actually just all about love?
Well, and I think this is where the man-made stuff comes in my
Mm,
prayer of discernment. So I grew up um, in a household that was kind of chaotic, and being in the suburbs of Houston, word gets around pretty fast. So, and having ADHD and being kind of a little bit loud um, doesn't usually fare well in the church and the
mm.
people around it. So
Especially as a young lady, I would imagine.
very much so.
Yeah.
And I was like I grew up in a very positive, like female centered world, like where my grandmother, like she would get the little Playboy bunny on her toenails painted, and she'd be like, "Mija, look, like this is like, we can be pretty, but you be a lady, like you." It was very like spiritual, and to me,
Uh-huh.
like all of that. Anyway, long story short, it
Yeah.
was kind of using my discernment, even growing up in that, of knowing that this isn't the church, like this isn't the religion, these are the people. And then I
Mm,
was so blessed and so lucky to find in my church people that saw me and
mm.
like actually cared and like fulfilled that. Like we're like, you could be wild and you could be who you are because this is how God made you. Like this is who you are, but how do you use this in order to spread his message?
Mm. So how does that did that take some variety when it came to the stripping and the shibari and the fire eating and the expressive hedonism of it all? Did it seem like there was some balance that needed to be?
It's definitely a balancing game, but again, it's all about what you know is conviction, right? Like you pray for your
Mm,
discernment and you see the conviction within it. And
mhm,
like to me, like expressing sexuality, the body, stripping, all of that, I never had a conviction that that was sinful or anything like that because I wasn't doing it for this male gaze. I wasn't doing it to this
mm,
sexiness. I wasn't doing it for anything. It was always an expression of
mhm,
like what it was. Like I never saw moving your hips and doing all that. Like I was the kid put in the punishment box at like Friday night, like life, at the church dances and for like gyrating and moving your hips too much because I never really saw that. Like, I don't know. I just really love the female expression in the body.
yeah.
And it was all about like the expression of who I was as a woman. And
Mm,
even taking that kind of over when I did have these kind of, not to get too personal, but these different kind of traumas with the opposite sex, with the,
mhm.
using of the bodies and stuff like that. It was taking that power over.
Sure.
like
We can
bringing,
get we can be as personal as you're comfortable
yeah.
with. So don't worry about oversharing unless you don't want to overshare.
No, no,
Well,
no.
you're
I
good.
just, I don't want to bring anyone down, but because,
No, well,
those things, they leave a mark on your body, but it's how you
yeah.
take it back. And after I had a really complicated pregnancy with my first child, I had hyperemesis gravidium, which is like morning sickness throughout your whole pregnancy. And
Oh dear.
I gave birth at 105 pounds.
Oh
Um,
no. Oh
yeah,
no.
so
And you're
it
a
was,
slight, so those who don't know, you're a slight little thing as well.
yeah. Well, I used to be very curvy.
Oh.
And then I got hyperemesis and it completely changed my body type and all that.
Mm.
So that's another thing why I got into burlesque, because it was like learning how to use your body and like learning your new body. Because I had, I was always like thin, but I had like double D's and like curves on the bottom.
Oh my.
Yeah,
You
it was.
know, you
I
know,
some.
you had your wiles.
I had my wiles, and then the kids sucked it out of me. Um, but
Uh,
like, I don't know, it's just always been a celebration of that. And part of
mm,
like being Catholic and going to Catholic school, we had catechisms that talked about what art is. And art is about celebrating the beauty of the divine. And when I see fire eating, when I see circus, when I see all that, I don't see something sexual. And maybe it's
mm,
because my parents, like, my mom was a smoker, and the best places to go in the 90s were like gay bars to bring your kids, and they always had drag shows and stuff like that. So like
mm,
I grew up around all that. And so, like, seeing that, it was never something sexual. It was always something theatrical and something so fun. Like in Houston in the 90s, when you could bring your kids to bars, I was that kid, going to all the bars on Hollywood Boulevard in Houston,
mm.
and that in Montrose, and seeing these amazing burlesque and drag shows. Of course, like, they'd be like, okay, keep your kid in this area, but I would sneak, as kids do.
Mhm.
Um, and that kind of gave me a new thing. And then, like, I mean, getting my first sex talk from like a drag queen in Houston, like, because she heard me talking about inappropriate things, and she was like, "No, no, 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 this is not how you do this." Like, she's too young to be talking like this on the phone. So it was learning how, like, the balance of like you can be sexual, but without like expressing sexuality without being too sexual. Does that make sense?
Mm. Hmm. Yeah. I mean, there is like, also because it's a respect for oneself situation as well. There's if you're going to present yourself as a sexual being, and if we're going to go along with the idea that we are all created in the image of, so therefore everything that we have access to on our personage was given to us to do what we would like to with it, but to also know that if we put ourselves at risk or in danger or abuse ourselves, that we're not treating ourselves as divine beings, right?
Indeed.
So,
Yes.
right. So I get that. I get that. I fully ascribe to that. I think what's so disappointing to me in how faith-based figures in the world is they've really have
They've
scared the
perverted
hell
it.
out of people.
They've
Yeah.
perverted. They've
Yeah.
really, they've really perverted this ideal and
And
this.
for like centuries, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is a new,
Yeah.
Ted Cruz development, but I'm saying this is adjusted as technology adjusts and as whoever is in charge or whoever gets the vote wants to, scare people about drag queens, about trans people, about gay people, about people of color. Like
It's a huge weaponization of
yeah.
what we believe in, the faith and everything like that. And it's kind of where being somebody who believes in what I believe in, it's been
Hmm.
hard because you see so many people that you love suffering thanks to people who claim, wearing the same cross as you do. And like,
Hmm.
it's, it's heartbreaking even in my own family, like getting a little getting into unpleasant, not screaming, yelling matches over not just what I do, but like what is right. And like what is right. It's not even a belief issue. It's a moral issue.
Hmm.
And it's come to such a weaponization with faith, with this conservative religion. I don't even know what to call it. I don't even want to call it a religious movement.
It's all about power. I mean, really.
It really
If you make people afraid of the other and you tell people that they're going to hell essentially for being who they are, and telling people that you can't love this, what the love the sinner, hate the sin sort of situation, it's murky. It's super murky, and then you get into talking for God in theory, or saying this is what Jesus would have wanted, Jesus would have wanted, when there's not a whole lot of information on some contemporary issues that I mean, we can discuss and we can deconstruct, but the idea that that people would in theory be part of a faith that is of love, that is of sacrifice, particularly if we're going to talk about, Jesus sacrificing and being sacrificed for the sins of the world, then you have to sort of contend with, okay, well then is this God a vengeful God who just wants us to stay in line like Big Brother, or does he want good things for us and for us to be in peace? And I don't think telling people that they're going to hell for being who they are is of peace, personally.
No, absolutely not. And that's where, like, I think when you look at traditional, and this is where I was really lucky to have great religious leaders, where
Mm,
they looked at where were able to show me where the concepts of hell came from, because we didn't
mm,
grow up with the concept of hell. All that's not to where it is. And there's um, a whole great, I don't know. There's a great book called Power versus Force, and they put everyone on a very religious scale from 0 to 300. 300 being like most connected to the divine. Even Jesus lands at like 280 on that. Normal human consciousness is at like 89.
mm.
So it tells us where, like, if we're driven in fear, if we're driven in love, if we're driven in all of this, where that aligns with spirituality and what we are.
Mhm.
And I find that we're really just, I don't know, a lot of people are running in fear and anger and all of that more so than
Yeah,
anything else.
yeah. How do you raise your children? Are
So,
they in the faith as well?
yes, actually, they are the ones who brought me back to the Catholic faith.
Hmm.
We went to Italy 3 years ago. I started raising them non-denominational because my husband's very not religious. He's spiritual, but not religious. He's not
Sure.
really Christian. He doesn't like, he's, he's everything. I love
Ethical. He's
him. Yeah.
ethical.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's everything. I love him. Because he's opened my mind as well. But my sons went to Italy, and my eldest, he started really connecting to like biblical stories before then. And when we went to Italy, saw just a lot of the religious stuff, and then being like,
Hmm.
Mom, we went to a Catholic mass at the Vatican, and he was like, Mom, can we go back to Catholicism? And that was really cool. And I
Hmm.
was already kind of dabbling back into it because I had worked at a very haunted place, and I had to get a priest in, and I had to get a bunch of other things in. It was a very big thing. Yeah, no, I got an ulcer in my eye, 3 different car accidents, and
Oh
that's
my
when,
goodness.
yeah, that was crazy. But I don't know. But do want to go back to what we were talking about a little
Yeah.
bit about, like, what makes like sin, and what, or not what makes sin, but what makes these people like be against what's God's rules and stuff like that.
Mm.
So we know we have the major 10, right? The major 10 commandments, like,
Yes.
and to me, like, those are not just like spiritual things, those are just societal things of how we can just make society run better. Like,
They're laws.
they
Yeah.
just work
Yeah.
society wise, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't steal shit.
Yeah.
Then you get into people's personal sins, and personal sins are very different from what you have. And that's where, like, even though Jesus and everyone didn't get set laws, that's where we have to like look to something else, and not even like spiritual, like, because I want to take this away from Catholicism and Christianity, because we all have our different types of discernment of telling us what's right and wrong, that gut feeling in our stomach.
Hmm.
And when we go against that gut feeling, that's what is honestly what I conceive as sin more than anything else.
Mm.
Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's how people are able to like do shit and not feel bad about it, because to them they don't have conviction about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going
Mm-hmm.
against their own sin. Does that make sense?
It does, because there's a difference between what's against the law and what's wrong.
Right.
There's also there's also a difference between what is polite, if that makes sense too.
Yeah,
There's a ways
what
of being.
social etiquette that you grew up with
Yeah,
and all of that.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
where you know, the socialization and everything comes into play and different things. And then like, you know, forcing yourself to like something that you don't like, that's a sin. Like, you know what
mm,
I mean? Like going against what you personally do or believe, that's going
yeah,
against who you are as a person.
yeah. Yeah. Well, because that would be the argument of bearing false witness
Yep.
also, because then you're not properly engaged in, and that's what I think is largely what's going on in the lawmaking world, who utilize Christianity specifically, but also fearmonger the Muslim faith, who fearmonger people who are of other variances in Christianity even, because there are people who say like you can't like gay people if you're a Christian. You just can't. And to me that is awfully limiting and also really presumptuous. And I think and that's also just one example. The it's I would think it would be very difficult to be a page by page, what is that, fundamentalist Christian, and exist in the present day without a whole lot of explaining away, because there's a lot like we you can't I don't know if you live in an intersectional feminist world easily, but a lot of those things aren't in the Bible. There are people who are property in the Bible who aren't now. There's ways that you would behave in a marriage that are not how you would behave now. And a lot of it is our stories that we can then, relate to. But I don't even know if all of the stories that were being told in the Bible are necessarily meant to tell us how to live.
Exactly.
Sometimes I think they're just documentation.
And and I think Kristen Chenoweth has my favorite quote, and I heard it when I was like 16 and I loved it. And the Bible is like a fish. You take the good
Hmm.
meat and you don't choke on the bone.
Right. You give big Kristen Chenoweth energy. You know
I
that,
get
right?
told that a lot. Which I am fine with. I take it as a huge compliment, because I do
Yeah.
really enjoy her as a person. I'm not acting like I know her, but like
No,
her
no, no, it's
persona.
okay.
But I think that is where we take this idea of what is a fundamental Christian. We take this idea of what's fundamental, like we go with what society rules by then, and we look
Yeah.
at, and that's why I like Catholicism so much and growing up Catholic, is because we dove into the history. We deep dove into what was going on at that time, because it
Hmm.
explains such a bigger picture. Like we
Hmm.
did a paper on the Gnostic Gospels, and I know probably that wasn't like a big Catholic thing at that time, but because of the religious leaders I had growing up, it gave us a bigger context of what it was.
Hi, this is Viktor Devon, and you're listening to WEBurlesque, the podcast, and I love you for it. I gotta tell you, this is still one of my very favorite things to do. I'm very happy, very proud, very honored that people download this and listen to me and a bunch of folks talk about why we love what we do. It's really great. It really, really is. And I want to give a special love to the patrons on patreon.com. Give it up for Melody, Devin, JaCourtney, Clara, Dottie, Charlotte, Luna, Goosey, Roxy, Faye, Tiffany, Jimmy, Curly Bright, Oliver, Sebastian, Alex, Bo, and Stormageddon. I had to take a breath there, people. It's really lovely. It really is really, really, really lovely. I think it's so difficult to dedicate time and make shit happen, but I'm working on it. I'm trying. Goodness gracious. Please know that you mean the world to me. And If you would like to support me in any other way that is not money, please follow, like, subscribe, share, comment, do those things, and I won't charge you for it. It'll get me further out there, and more importantly, it'll get these people that I bring onto this show further out there as well. So, mwah, be well, darlings.
Right. Well, I think that's one reason that a lot of former Catholics, and I know they always say once a Catholic, but a lot of people who are no longer identify as Catholics who then look into other spiritualities such as Jewish mysticism or the Dead Sea Scroll, like looking beyond what is summed up for a lot of us, because the Bible is dense. There's a lot going on there, and there's a lot of uh, not kid-friendly material, which is really fascinating considering how it is used as a way of sort of like, I don't know, indicating to turn away from sin and to turn away from like, there's some stuff in there, guys. Like
No,
there's some stuff.
that's what's so funny about it is just like we use the Bible as such like this, I don't know, way to live. And it is a way to live, but it is also teaching, like when you look at everything, it teaches us such a deeper meaning to our spirituality. If you look at different religions, all of them can teach us so much about our own self and own spirit, like I don't know, our own connection to the divine. Like
Sure.
there's a great book called Conversations with God by Daniel.
Oh yes, 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 yes.
I love that book because it really,
I remember that coming out in what, the 90s,
yeah.
probably. Yeah.
It really just it helps see things on such a broader spectrum. And
Mm.
I don't know, like I grew up, my dad being in the law and being a lawyer, judges, we grew up around so many different faiths being in that, like the Jewish faith. We grew up
Mhm.
like I grew up going to synagogues. I had a lot of Muslim friends being from Houston because Houston's very
Mhm.
diverse, and like learning so much about everyone was really special and cool. And that's why I'm really grateful of growing up like in suburban public school.
Mm. You also have correct me if I'm wrong, you have Mexican heritage.
Yes, I'm half.
So tell me a little bit about how that may influence, because obviously when we think of Mexican Catholics, there is a great deal of iconography and beauty and art that is
Yes.
associated, that's a little bit more exciting than some of, the white people stuff.
Oh, well, I mean, be like my Mexican side was very Catholic. Like
Hmm.
my grandma Ana Lopez, she got us to church every Sunday, but it was actually the white side of my family, the Irish Catholics, who really drove it all. So I had like the two hardcore different types of Catholics.
Indeed, yes, yes. Yeah.
But I was lucky enough because Irish Catholic and Mexican Catholic, and I will fight anyone who says anything otherwise. The household is run by the women.
Uh-huh.
And that is what the tradition, like, so I grew up around really strong women, and seeing that presented in faith and being like, oh no, this is like, growing up with my grandma being like, there's a reason why Jesus only appeared to the women. Like, so I don't know, like having the Mexican like identity, it was very different for me growing up because I am white presenting. My sister is not. So it would, to me, I had a very different relationship to my Mexican heritage, because deep dove into it because
Hmm.
I felt so ostracized, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Hmm.
And it wasn't ostracized from my family. It was a lot from my fellow peers at school, being like, oh, your last name is da da da. Were you adopted? Seeing my dad and my sister.
Ah,
And
yeah.
which is fine. But it was more, and that's what gave me more of a better understanding of who that's my side, my Mexican side was, which we learned about the Bruja. We learned about like having some ties to the Alamo. And so
And its
going on
relationship with indigenous cultures too. Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah.
So we have Mayan, of course, in our background, in Spain, all of that. So my grandmother's side, Spanish, my grandpa's side, indigenous. And it was a very big thing when my grandpa and grandma got married. They ran away to the States because the Spanish side didn't want more of it. Was at a very traumatic time because my grandma was very aristocratic Spanish. My grandpa came from Mexican descent, and from Houston. So he kind of took my grandma away and went to America, and we're like, we're going to start a life together. Like very Romeo and Juliet without the death.
Well, yes. It did help that they were probably a little older and not quite so impulsive.
Yeah. So I grew up so having that Mexican culture. And then when my grandmother passed away in 8th grade, then my grandpa married my step grandmother, Lillian, and she was Chinese. And so I started mixing into that culture as well. So that was really fun and interesting growing up with that and learning how they celebrate. Because she was, I forget what it was. She was Buddhist and then she turned Catholic. So it was really cool.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Now, you and I also have something in common with our past. You have Rocky Horror inside of your blood.
So
where does that live?
Rocky Horror. So I started performing Rocky Horror in 2010 with the Royal Mystic Order of Chaos, Jeff Ross's old troupe. And it was so much fun. So Rocky, I think everyone is like their sexual awakening. I don't know.
It helps. It certainly helps. Yeah.
And that's where I think like also where I learned the balance because I watched Rocky at a very, very formative age. And like seeing how like you could be expressive of your sexuality, but don't let it take it over because it'll destroy you at the end. Like that's how like the message I got from it when I was like exploring my slutty side. So I fell in love with it, and going to the midnight premieres at like 13 and sneaking into the River Oaks, and celebrating my 18th birthday 3 times there. So I joined the Rocky Horror cast and I was in love. And at that time I was dating like this frat boy who had no idea. Like this world was just he couldn't believe it. But I was having so much fun. But unfortunately I ended up having like a really crazy stalker and having to discontinue that because of that. And it wasn't until he passed away then I was able to get back on stage and felt safe enough.
Was that a pivotal point in also learning about how to present? Because it's all very well and good to, have a very comfortable relationship with your body, but there's another way of doing that in an entertaining kind of way and in a way that is kind of, a more engaging for an audience. Was that one of your first real times being mostly naked in front of audience members?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
It was. I like, in when I was younger, I would dress a little provocatively and, have different things like that, dress for attention as the suburban wild girl does. But it was a different type of performance art. Now, when middle school, I did something called Kiss Club. It was Club ISD Superstars. And it was a school competition where they did like poems, dramatic readings, and lip sync competition. And lip sync competition is what I killed in because Miss Domino told us if you're going to do be a part of lip sync, it better not look like the song that you're presenting. So think of a story that's different from what the song lyrics are, but keep connected to the song. So doing those kind of performances and being exposed that way on stage as a middle schooler, very, very different. And that's kind of how it felt being on Rocky. Just a little extra thing of taking off the clothes.
I think it's very useful because it's also a structure. You have, if you're doing a shadow cast, you have work to do that matches or at least reflects what's happening on the screen. It allows you to play, but it gives you a playground. Like it gives you like still a discipline of, oh, I gotta go, oh, I gotta run and gotta change for this out for this. And it's a quick, depending on who you were. I've seen photos of you as Columbia. Was that your regular?
So Columbia was my regular, and that's who I normally played. And then I did Trixie. Then when I moved over here in 2021, I started doing Columbia, Trixie, Janice, and then emceeing as well. One time I did it all in one show because our cast got sick, and that was a hoot.
It's interesting to think of doing Columbia and Janet in the same show.
It was a lot. It was a lot. I'm not going to lie. That was a lot. But it was so much fun because you're right. It does give you the structure, but it does give you the ability to play with your facial expressions. It gives you the ability to like see, okay, what can I do a little different that can engage the audience? Just what's different and how are the people who saw me last month going to be engaged this month?
Mhm.
And
Well, you're competing with Lil Nell, who is a genius on that
oh my
screen. How
God.
do you do something else to make them want to look at you instead of that 50-foot screen?
Exactly.
It's a big deal.
And
Yeah.
I love playing the character. I love playing Columbia. She wasn't my first choice, and when I first got her, I didn't understand the character, and I was mad.
Oh,
I was
I love it. Tell me.
I was like, "Ah, I can't believe it. I wanted to be Janet because I was always like growing up, I was always the provocative one, like getting casted or
Yeah.
anything like that. And I was like, damn it, I got another one. Like I just wanted to be the innocent one for once. And then like
Ooh.
really understanding Columbia, like I felt so connected to her, especially growing up in that chaotic household, giving myself to these unruly men, like you take, and you go like a sponge, take, and then like you drain other people
Yeah.
of their love and emotion. Like
Their love and
you
emotion.
follow these
Yeah.
people to the ends of the earth, and then what do you leave for yourself? And it kind of like connected me back to a long time ago when I had this like talk with this drag queen. It was like you have a spaghetti noodle of emotion, like an uncooked spaghetti noodle, and you break a little bit off to each person you give to. And he's like, at the end of it, how much are you going to have to cook for yourself?
Mm.
And it was like a big eye opener, and like connecting that to to that character, especially going through what I was going through at that time period.
Yeah. She's complicated. She really is. She seems like such a joyful character because we think of her from Time Warp and her, at her bubbliest, and even being just a little, punty in a fun way to Brad and Janet. It's like, oh, you people, oh, but I love him, and to see her get utterly used in that,
She
it's the hardest sell against Frank,
she's
really. It really is.
she's literally to me she's such a sad character because she's the
Yeah.
she has this attitude to Brad and Janet because she doesn't know how long they're staying. She doesn't know
Mm.
like if she's going to be placed on to the next rack for Brad. Like,
I think she's part of a club that she's not actually
yeah,
in. I don't, I think she really thinks she's a Transylvanian, but she's
she's
never going to
never
be a
going to be into
Transylvanian.
it, and that she's never going
Yeah.
to be a part of the big group. Like even
Yeah.
in Touch Me, she has such a connection with Magenta, but that goes immediately away. Like Magenta doesn't even flinch when she dies.
No,
And
no.
so it shows how used up this woman. It's like that girl at, and again, like I saw this at a very pivotal moment growing up. And I was going through a lot and hanging out with a toxic male crowd, and I realized that I was Columbia. I was this person like in this group of toxic males, and I was just getting used up like for my resources, for all of this other stuff, but I was never in the male club.
Mm.
And these were like guys
Mm.
that like were my friends for years and years and years.
Mm. It's rough. I mean, I think again, I think there's a lot one of the reasons that Rocky Horror is so beloved is because we do see ourselves. It allows us to escape, but it allows us to escape into really um theatrically archetypal figures. I mean, it's right there on the screen. A hero, a heroine, like it's right
Yep.
there, folks. It's like it really, and the fact that it is tongue in cheek and silly to a certain degree, there's real like pain in that show as well. And it's I could go on, I could go on, and I could go on. I feel
But we can talk about the
yeah.
show, and there's so much depth to it. But then you go to a Rocky Horror show,
Mm,
and then you see the audience,
yeah,
and you see the depth within the audience.
yeah. Speaking of
You
ritual,
see, yeah, for real. I mean, there's so many diehards, but this is a safe space. Like
yeah.
it truly is the place of connection where you have the people who are on the outskirts or the people who try to hide in the shadows, the people who, they come together for once a month
Hmm.
for something to connect us all. And I love especially getting, the younger crowds in,
Hmm.
like the 18-year-olds. When I was at River Oaks, I love getting the young teeny boppers in with their families,
Hmm.
um, because it was something new for them.
Hmm.
It was
It's
something,
a rite of passage. Yeah, I
it's a
really,
rite of passage.
yeah.
But it's a feeling of connection of like, if you feel any of this, there's a safe space for you in this world.
Hmm. Hmm. And that is why I think a lot of times, so considering, I mean, I think a lot of folks who did Rocky Horror, there is a big line to burlesque for us. A lot of us have that our wheelhouse as well as our history. But I think one of the reasons that we need to protect that in such a regard to and to keep it a safe space is so necessary, considering you're working with young people, you're working with people
Yep.
who are potentially neurodivergent. You're working with people
Yep.
who are existing in a sexually free bubble in a country of rape culture. Like there's a
Yep.
lot of nuance there, and I think that that also lends itself to why I think we gatekeep and are so protective of our space in burlesque and making sure that those places stay accessible for the people who are doing it as entertainment, as art, as beings, as human beings, without worrying about like, people taking advantage of
Of our
all of the
space.
nakedness and neurodivergence. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
the big thing. And keeping those safe spaces not only help the neurodivergent, the odds and ins and outs, it helps the society kind of as a whole, because you
Mm,
create the safe space, you create these social structures in which to operate in, this social etiquette in which you can actually go into these spaces, and you take that etiquette and you bring it out to the world. Because now that you're able to go into some of these areas, it's like, oh, okay, if I act like, if I'm okay, and not necessarily if I'm okay,
mm.
I can be a safe space so I can enjoy more safe spaces.
Yes.
Does that
Yes.
make sense?
I can keep giving myself permission
Yes.
to carry on, basically. Yeah,
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
I do get it. I do get it. I do get it.
Okay, I'm glad you're picking up
Um,
what I'm putting down.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think one of the reasons that even though we've been mostly passing ships, we only really see each other at the Burlesque Hall of Fame Weekender, but that we vibe and we're cool is because I think there are lines that we connect through. I really do think that you and I have a lot in common in that regard. Hey, this is Victor Devon, and I like socks. I've always been very open about my appreciation for the fabric that goes on my feet, and I want you to enjoy them too. Please go to footclothes.com, look at the variety of fabulous novelty socks that do not suck, and indulge. You can get 10% off now with the name Victor Devon as a promo code. That's VIKTORDEVONNE. Put it all together, no spaces, and enjoy.
Tonight on Murder, She Wrote.
Hooray!
Hey. It's
Yeah.
kind of Piper Laurie and Brenda Vaccaro at A Love Child.
Thank goodness.
I want to know
These
her.
nails. Yeah, where's her series? That's what
She's
I want.
fabulous.
The son is Joaquin Phoenix.
I know, isn't that nuts? And he is an ugly little kid. I'm sorry.
We're just like, hey, remember when this guy was in this obscure Broadway show in 1976?
Right? Look at him in those tight pants. Yum.
Well, because there's not
But
a
we
lot
do
really
get-
going on. It's
Yeah.
supposed I mean, unless you're listening to the dialogue, which frankly, audience at home, you can do without us. We're just
Yeah, do
learning
your own
about
work,
some of these
damn it.
backstory. But
Right.
Boswell put her up to it.
Yeah.
And then Trish had to be killed because she realized that Boswell didn't have her interests at heart because Teddy was the inheritor.
Yeah.
Playing her like a fiddle.
Oswell knew it, and Trish just gulped it down like one of those martinis,
And then tossed it onto the lawn.
and then lost her head. Poor Trish.
Trish loses her head. This is Victor Devon,
And this is Petra Fried
and this is Tonight.
on Murder, She Wrote.
I'm curious, moving into more of the burlesque showgirl side, the creative side, working in all of that. What about burlesque specifically gives you the good feeling to keep doing it? And how long have you been doing? You said Vegas. You would have been.
2020.
When did you start?
So
2021.
So 2021 is probably when I would say had my debut 2021, 2022 with
Okay.
Vixen DeVille. So it's
In the
funny.
after times. Oh, I love Vixen. Yeah, yeah.
So it's funny. After I had my second son, I was like, "Boo-hoo, I'm pregnant," and had pregnancy blues. And then my therapist was like, "Find a class." And so I found Vixen DeVille's burlesque class online, and I said, "I'd try that. I should try everything." And I was in Texas at that time, and then it just so happened we were moving to Vegas, and she goes, "Do you want to do a showcase and do what we're working on at the showcase?" And I said, "Yes." And so that's how that trickled in.
What was the first act?
So I did my budget clown act, where I do it to Call on Me, which is, Call on Me, Call Me, Call on by Eddie Perez.
Okay.
And I do this whole where I fake eat a sword. I have a balloon dress because I'm a balloon twister. That's one thing Gloria did teach me. And so I made a dress completely out of balloons, and I strip out of that, do a funny bit with a sword. I do make something disappear. It's just like a really bad magician act. And then it's really fun, and it celebrates the clown. I made that in honor of Gloria, and that was really fun. And then I made another act with Vixen, my Money Power Glory fan act, which is I believe it's one of and people say it's I like it. To me, it stands in my power, and that was that was my coming out and being like myself, kind of, and standing sexually without being sexualized.
How do you feel about some of the tropes in burlesque, such as like the sexy nun or the iconography that is very Catholic leaning? I'm just curious
So
does that bother you, or
ask
how
this
do
a
you
lot.
feel?
No, it doesn't. Okay. So one of my favorite drag kings acts is, oh my God, Daddy, I forget their last name, but they do it as Jesus, and they do a whole drag king act as Jesus and do it to the song "I Believe in a Thing Called Love." And I think that is hilarious. To me, burlesque in all of this is an expression, right?
Yeah.
Like it is an express, and it goes into the catechisms. It goes into, this is how you see art. This is how this is. Like if you see that a certain way, that's okay. Like that's not my, I'm not here to yuck anyone else's yum, but I'm also all about the celebration of your truths and everything, because if I wasn't, that'd be against my religion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can't sit there and say, oh, all of this and da 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 da, because if I did that, that'd be against what you believe is your divine art, and that's against my faith.
Yeah. I mean, it still has to be good. I would still like it to be good.
I would still like
That's
it to
my
be good,
criteria.
but I would still like to enjoy it and whatever. But I there's some things where there is some acts where, like, if I know they're doing something on stage, maybe I won't perform with that. That's just, but only because it's just superstition on my end. And that's just because when I worked at the haunted place, it got me really scared, and now I just am very cautious about that stuff.
The haunted place.
Like, I can't give out the name because I legally signed something where I can't give out the name, but the haunted place definitely scared me into like different things, and now I'm just like, it's nothing against it. I'm not yucking anyone else's yum. I'm just very spooky.
We get through it. We figure out, we're given signs by the universe, however those are provided.
And that's the thing. It's like I again, no judgment to anything. It's just it's just spookies, and sometimes you just don't want to be around the spookies, and sometimes something is perceived as spooky, and that's okay, and you still love the person who does the act. You just can't. It's spooky.
So what is your process generally? Are you a find a song first? Are you a costume person first?
I'm usually find a song. So I have like a list of songs that I've had since my childhood, and this is gonna sound so stupid. So going back into like what I did in 7th grade, I had a list of lip sync songs and ideas for them, and I still kind of follow that. And so I listen to sometimes a song, and then I get an idea, and I think that's because from the lip syncing, that's where my brain was trained.
I see. So are you of the mindset that you lip sync frequently in your acts, or
No,
is
no,
that
no, no,
just
no, no,
the
no. This is
vibe?
just the vibe. This is just me creating the story without like creating the story, if that makes sense.
It's like learning the lines basically. And then yeah.
And I see a different kind of vision, and then I go for it.
What type of silhouette or style do you think you lean mostly into? As a Vegasian, I would think showgirl, but what's your typical?
That's the thing, is I don't, and I'm not necessarily, I'm still developing it, but it's just chaotic, not chaotic, because I still look polished on stage, but it's just the fun energy. Like, I don't know where exactly I can say where I hit myself on, because I'm clown. I'm sometimes polished. Like, I just know when I get on stage and do what I do, like, I feel good about what I present, and then the audience feels good as well, and then I keep getting asked back. So,
and as someone who worked in production for a bit too, what types of acts do you find you lean into as someone who curated at one point?
Yeah, no, as far as production goes, I really try to think when I'm like doing stuff, is going back to the old shows I used to see in the 90s at those clubs and bars, the drag shows, the circus shows, and trying to do a different type of variety, connecting everything to that, creating a story with that. So when I'm looking for acts, when I go to a production and I get the submissions in, it's what I'm able to create a story for the audience to enjoy for that evening.
Is there a time in the world where you think you'll return to production?
Yes, when I'm ready to have another baby, like as in like, because with my children being of the age of after school activities,
Yeah.
there's a lot, and it's good. It's just a lot, but
Yeah,
production.
you're balancing a lot already, and then you add in the showgirl. So
Yeah, it's always fun. Especially, getting to see things grow. I'm talking to a few venues right now about possibly bringing back blush burlesque, and um, there is some interest in booby bingo coming back, which
mm.
I don't. Did you ever hear about the show Booby Bingo? I love the show because it's
Not specifically. I'm familiar with the concept of a burlesque bingo, typically, but
so it's burlesque bingo, as in there is burlesque involved between the
Mhm.
rounds to give everyone a little break. Normal rounds of bingo, we kind of do fun little things. It surrounds the booby bird, so the booby bird moves around the burlesque or the bingo bird, the bingo board, and you drink every time you see it. And then the last round of bingo, I edit a porn film and I just take out the sex and leave the dialogue, and that's what we make the bingo out of. So that is booby bingo,
Nice. Nice.
and that's always fun. So
Yeah. Well, I've made my first appearance on a Vegas stage
oh yeah,
only just recently. I did Savannah Fox's show, and I had a great time working. That was on Fremont Street. So it
Savannah
was a
is
lovely.
so amazing, and the energy on Fremont Street is just great.
It was really exciting. It was just really exciting. And it was a simple, it was a bar show. It was, at a space where like it was at
Cheap
oh
shop.
God, what is it?
And I
Right.
just
It was at Commonwealth. It was at
Commonwealth.
Commonwealth.
Oh yes, Commonwealth is a great bar.
Yeah, they were really welcoming, very lovely. Very, very
Great
cool.
people.
Um and I gotta say, so I mean, as a sort of pudgy guy who's in clown white, you never know how the audience is gonna respond when you're not, when you're not one of the glamorous gals. But they loved me and I loved them back, and they loved me for loving them. So everything was really lovely. So whenever you get your blush back, you keep me in mind.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, I'm praying that things go where they need to go for blush, because as a producer, I just want to get our money's worth, and I want to
Mhm,
get our community's money's worth. Ever
mhm.
since Blush last was produced at Champagne's and we had the debacle of $2 burlesque, I made kind of a promise to myself where I need to be involved in making sure that we get payment, we get money. And whether it's from a venue, my own pocket, or anything like that, I want to make sure when I produce a show that we get the top of the line.
Right, right. It's an investment.
It's an
One
investment.
has to, yeah. And that's the thing too, is I understand that there's a lot of different moving factors in terms of, I don't know, the commodify. I'm a reluctant capitalist myself, so the requirement of commodifying my art entertainment, but knowing that if I get a bunch of 20s that I feel better about being an artist.
Yeah.
I struggle with it on occasion. But as long as we're all working together and we're all, I consider burlesque and community theater, frankly, to be fairly communist in a lot of ways. It allows us to, we talk about spending the same $20 in different directions, but as long as we're in control of that $20, we make sure that it gets to the next person who needs it or deserves it. And I think that that's at least a step in the right direction while the world burns around us?
And
So,
I think also, like, for me is, you know, creating something that is going to be in a safe space, because right now you're right, the world is burning all around us and we
yeah,
don't necessarily have too many safe spaces to go where security is going to be okay, where, different body types are going to be allowed on stage, everything,
yeah.
you know So
And where the audiences feel welcome, like safe to come and watch it too. It's not just about the people on stage feeling safe. It's also about who we're performing for and what they get to see. Because
yeah,
they deserve to see us. They deserve to see us.
and I'm not one like I want to be performing at safe spaces, but I also want to be performing for every audience that I can.
Yeah.
Because I feel that connection takes away the big and scary.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Like,
It does. It does. Because even if the audience you don't know, I know I'm right. Like that's the thing is that I know if I come knocking on your door and saying, let me entertain you, that I'm right. I will entertain you.
yeah,
You may not know it, but
I'm going to be
let's give it a
entertaining you
shot.
in some way. And that
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
And I think, connecting with so many different people and connecting and creating a safe venture for them to enjoy every week, every month, and getting to know performers, not just like what we do on stage, but creating our profile personas
Hmm.
where it becomes entertaining outside of that. Like how we used to be, like my favorite thing of working at the Burlesque Hall of Fame was looking at the old articles and stuff and like
Mm.
reading the gossips and stuff like that. And let's be honest, there's like a lot of fun little things you can do in burlesque. Like my
Yeah.
girlfriends who aren't into the burlesque scene, they're all about Matt Finish's page and always give me a call and like, tell us about this drama. Let's have tea. Um, and it's fun. It's fun. Like, I don't know. I grew up with 2000s tabloid girl. Like, you know what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean?
Oh yeah.
And
I
so,
grew up with hard copy, so I get you. I remember A Current Affair and
yes,
the pre-Access Hollywood. Yes, yes, yes.
yes. And like, I think if we start really doing that kind of stuff with the audience and really start creating these fun things, like that adds to a whole nother level of entertainment. So I don't know. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, I think you have an indomitable spirit.
Thank you.
I get a great sense of light and from you, and I think that that kind of kinetic light is necessary for good artists as well as good people. So I thank you for just scratching the surface with me
I
today,
appreciate your
Yzma.
time today, and thank you. I'm so
Yeah.
happy we've gotten to connect because you're right. We only see each other at the Burlesque Hall of Fame, like passing
I
by. We just
know.
need to like sit and chat, and like we
We
got.
do. Yes. Next time I'm nearby, let's make a date of it.
Please.
If you would like to return to the pod and you feel that you would be able to contribute to the music that made we, it's a little side project that I do where I talk to burlesque people about 10 songs, just 10, that would make up the soundtrack of their memoir, of their life, of their pivotal
Oh,
moments in their life.
I already have that already. Yes, I would
Well
love to
then
do
let's
that.
let's let's talk,
Every so
and I would be happy to have you back. Can you tell the folks at home the ways that they can keep in touch with all the your goings on?
So Instagram, Yzma Mind, best way to know the show's going on. Snapchat as well, Yzma Mind. I know I'm old and I like Snapchat. um,
I love that that's the criteria because I remember saying, "Oh, they're young and they like Snapchat." So I don't know how close we are in age, but I take offense.
no, I love Snapchat because it goes away in like a second and as like a young slut, it's great. Um, Instagram's always the best way. I do have a Facebook, but I never keep up with it. You're on my family Facebook. That's how we're connected on my
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't really post too much on that because I have judges and lawyers and different things from my daddy's things and
Uh,
he gets asked about my bum in the courtroom and he gets mad. Um
it happens.
and-
Fabulous.
but yeah, thank
Do you
you.
have do you have anything exciting happening up in the next couple weeks?
Well, I'm get to be the host for Sip and Sketch at Las Vegas, which they bring artists, performers into the Mint, and you draw them. They get a little performance, and I get to MC that every month. So I'm really excited to do that.
Fabulous. What
And
day of the week is that?
so that's going to be on this coming up Thursday, June 11th, and then
Okay.
we do it, I think, every second second Thursday or third Thursday. Don't quote me on that. I need to
Wonderful.
be better. Okay.
All right.
I promise I am such a good showgirl. I show up and I do my stuff and I'll talk to you all about where my shows are. I just will not know when the next one is after the week. I live by ADHD. Yay.
Yeah. Go to the Instagram, folks. You'll find out.
Instagram. That's where I post things. Yay.
Well, thank you. Continue to thrive. However that ends up manifesting. We're more than halfway through the year now. Goodness gracious, so much has occurred and we have so much left. So be well and be safe. And thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you, hun. Sweet blessings. Bye, hun.
Mwah. We Burlesque the podcast, created, developed, and edited by Viktor Devon. Podcast artwork by Logan Laveau. We Burlesque the podcast cover art photography by Atticus Stevenson. Theme song, On a 45 by This Way to the Egress, used with permission. All incidental music via Pixabay under the expectation of fair use. Please visit WeBurlesquePodcast.com for notes on this and every other episode. Follow WeBurlesque and Viktor Devon on just about every platform, and support the podcast via patreon.com/WeBurlesque. Don't got the cash? Please follow, subscribe, and give 5 stars on every platform you can get your hands on. It really does help. All original material is owned by Viktor Devon and White Elephant Burlesque Corporation. All other materials property of their respective copyright. No infringement, while likely, is intended. This episode and all episodes thereafter are in memory of Lucky Charming. Miss you, friend. And that's it.
Woohoo!